Hello everyone, Ceri the Crafter here, that's C-E-R-I the Crafter, and today I'm here with a little bit of, I'm experimenting with something, let's put it that way. Okay, and I'm not sure it's going to work, so we'll talk about some caveats to this video because I don't want you going ahead and doing it and ruining something. I need to do it first. So as you know, I use a lot of stencils because I design stencils. So I like to put my stencils into ring binders like this, and this is how I store them. The good thing about this is they're in a plastic pocket. I can pull the plastic pocket out when I work on the stencil, like so. I can then take this out, leaving the paperwork in. Then when I want to actually finish working with the stencil and let it dry, I can lay it on top of the plastic pocket. It will dry, and then once it's fully dry, I can put it inside so it's a non-stick surface. So anyway, I use this a lot. I like this process. I also have another set of storage, which I'll show you in a second, which are these, because some of the stencils are too big to go into the pocket or page protectors like this. So I've got into the habit of putting in the bigger ones into these just regular file folders, as you can see, and I put on the front what it is. And then what I've started doing is if there's 3 or more of a size, I put them in here as well. And I do this with, I mean, I've got mine, I've got other people's as well, other designs in here. Although what happened is in July I was using a lot of stencils, and I'm finding that now I'm beginning to get a problem with this system, in that as I'm picking things up and down, sometimes they fall out the bottom, and as I'm stacking them on my shelf, they're tending to go over to one side and starting to bend. And I'm thinking I need a new solution for this. So I'll show you what I've come up with. Actually, before I do that, let's just say anything. I'm going to show you what I think I'm going to do. I'm willing to take the chance with my own stencils. If they get damaged, then my stencil is damaged. If you choose to do this and you think it's a good idea and you damage your stencils, that's on you. Okay, because I'm not telling you to do this, I'm just advising you that this is what I'm going to do. And if I don't show you and then you see it in a future video, you'll ask me why I didn't do it or I didn't show you. So just know that's my caveat. You make the decision. I'm not responsible if anything gets damaged along the way. So I wanted to come up with something that would work for my 12 by 12 stencil storage. Now, as you know, I find these a lot in thrift stores here in the UK, and I get them really inexpensively. This is the one that I use for creating masterboards in. You've seen it umpteen times. Oh. And sometimes if I'm running short of 12 by 12 paper for something, I will sometimes harvest it out of these, because I can pick one of these up for a couple of pounds, whereas a paper pad of 12 by 12 white paper is a lot more expensive. Now, I always keep my eye open for them, and I found this one as well, but I thought all 12 by 12 scrapbook pads were equal, like all the same size. Now, arguably, this is a 12 by 12 because the pages are 12 by 12, but what it is the entire thing is 12 by 12, which is 300 millimeters. Now, what I wanted to find, and I did find, because as I said, I find these quite often, is I wanted to find the bigger version, which is this version. This has got a maker on it. No, it doesn't. I didn't know whether there was a company on it. Now this one, although this is just over 12 inches tall, it's actually 12 inches and a bit. So it's probably 13 inches. So if I can do this properly for you. There you go. So this is 13 inches by 12 inches. So my pages inside are 12 inches, but they're also 12 inches this way. So when I've cut them off, I would have a smooth edge. Hopefully that makes sense, guys. So I was on the lookout for another one this size for this idea, and you're all intelligent. You've probably gone there already with what I'm going to do, but follow through on the video because there's some explanations as to why I'm going to do what I'm going to do. Now, I found another one of these, although I must admit the cover was definitely not something I wanted in my studio. This is acceptable, this is fine, but the other one was far too cutesy and it was just not right. So what I did is I got the next one and I covered it. And all I did was I took the tie off. There was a tie here like the others have got, but I took the tie off it and I covered the outside with, this was some wrapping paper that I got at a stationery store here called Pen and Paper. You know, I go there there quite often. And it was like an A2 size, I think it was, or something like that. I bought enough anyway to cover it. So I covered the outside with that. And I covered the inside with just a couple of 12 by 12s that I had hanging around. So that's how I made this. Now, things I know that are going to happen. I'm going to create pockets on these pages, quite specifically in areas to house the bigger and the smaller stencils and masks. I know that there's a lot of pages in one of these. I am fully expecting to probably have to eventually remove about a third of these pages, because if I'm going to be adding pockets and adding stencils, it's going to bulk the pages up. Now, I know because of this closure here, that this will have a bit of a leeway. I also know that, let's grab one of these again, this much bulk, if I take away the file folder, this isn't that much to be putting into a pocket, and even with the pocket it won't be as wide as thick as this. So that's what we're going to try and do. Well, that's what I'm intending to do. Now, to make the pockets, move that out of the way again. Sorry, it's a bit jumpy, talky here. I've actually gone through and pulled in some spare 12 by 12s. You may recognize this. This is the 12 by 12 from the color combo last week, last month, that I didn't keep this one because I kept the other one. These are some others I've had in a box of just spare 12 by 12s that are in a box to be used up, to be honest with you. Now, these are probably thicker than I would normally have chosen. This is 250 GSM, but I'm going to use these. In future, I'll probably use paper instead of this card. So I'm just pulling my guillotine. Now, because I want to store my stencils vertically on the page, I don't want just a 2-inch pocket here, because then these could flop. If I'm using a 12 by 12, I'm going to put a 4-inch pocket, and then this is more secure within it. So I'm going to chop these up into 4-inch pieces. As I said, I think these are potentially too thick card-wise, but it's what I have, and I didn't want to be spending out more money on buying stuff when I don't know that it's going to work. Maybe if this does work in the future, I will revert to maybe a heavier paper instead of just using this. Yep. Let's do a couple of these, because I'm going to do a few of these, and then I'm going to stop the video and finish them off, and then bring you back in to have a look-see to how it all looks. Because see that, oh, that was 2, that's why, Griffiths. I thought that felt like a thicker piece there. So let's pop that on there. So I'll just chop these up, and then I will do the others off camera, as I said. I also wanted to do this because it will give me more scope to work with the stencils, because what I'm finding is, especially with the ring binder one, because I've got folders and I've got ring binders, I will usually reach for the folders and forget I've got the ring binders, or reach for the ring binders and forget I've got the folders, because they're in different locations in my studio. However, if I'm putting all of the stuff in a ring binder type thing, like this is, I would class as a ring binder, they're all going to be on the same shelf and I'm not going to forget. So as you can see, we've got a 12-inch page. So if I put a 12 by 12 pocket across here, and I do it right to the edge of this page, then I've still got a bit of a room for growth, so that I'm not bulking this up too much. This will actually hold down my stencil very nicely, and I can fit it in that way. I can't fit it in that way unless I chop it down a bit. Now, because this pocket is this large, I can put a big one in here and maybe the next size in. I could put all 3 in, but I have a better idea than that. So I'm going to leave the first page blank, and I'm going to come to the second page. And what I'm thinking of doing is I'm thinking of putting the pocket there. And then on the reverse side, if there's another design that goes with this, I'm going to put a pocket halfway up the page, because then if I've got something like a 6x6 or a 5x7, I can slip it in that way. And the reason I'm doing this is, if this pocket and this pocket are not aligned, then I'm not having that much thickness on each page, if that makes sense. So I'm distributing the pocket depth, and also it'll still support everything. So I'm going to do this with Hopeless Harlequin, because we can see it being done on the page. I'm going to use art glitter glue. So I just want to put I'm just going to put a cookie sheet underneath the edge of this, so I know where the edge is, so that I'm not trying to overstick it on the edge. Now, you could put a thumb notch. I don't see a point of a thumb notch on one of these. The pocket is so big, it's not going to require it. So I'm just putting a line of the art glitter glue along here. I'm using art glitter glue because it's a stronger glue and it's a really quick grab. I would not use double-sided tape to do this. The reason being is because double-sided tape, the adhesive on double-sided tape, is sticky no matter where it touches. So if you've got it on the edges and you put something into it, there's a good chance it will grip anything you put in. Now I'm going to come in and just give it a bit of a burnish with a bone folder, just because I'm erring on the side of caution. I want to make sure it's fully in contact, because as I said, it's a bit thicker card than I probably would have chosen to use. Right, let's let that one be. And then, oh wow, okay, that's me knocking over something. I'm not used to using things this big on my desk, that's why. So when it comes to the opposite page, as I said, I'm going to piece this in so that it's above this. So I think what I can do is, as most things are going to be a 5x7 that goes in here. So if I put a 5x7 in there, see, if I line it up with this hole here, then that will still give me room, and it gives me this pocket for odds and bods, should we call it. Let's just stick this one down. You can fast forward to me gluing, because I'm going to do a bit more if you choose. Off you come. So I'm just going to line this up here. I'm not being overly particular about, are they all the same length? I'm not going to measure from the top of the page down. I'm just using that as a reference point. Now, another reason I want to do this with the stencils, not just mine, but with other makers, is because sometimes I don't have a full set of stencils from another maker, but if I was to do this, I could put all of, say, my Darcy Sanders stencils in here, or my Eddie Makes Art stencils, or my Rhonda Donar stencils. Do you see what I mean? So I've got options. Okay, I spoiled to stop the video because I wanted to go through and find a designer who I've got several stencils from, just so I can show you what my process will be. So I found Darcy Sanders in my stuff. Now I do have a dedicated 5x7 folio in here that I use as a quick grab and go, and Darcy's in here, but eventually Darcy may get moved from here as well. So my thought is, I've got all of these from Darcy. So Neurospheres, I can't remember how to say these things. Where is it? That's Neurospheres. So that could easily slip into a big pocket. Let's put that to one side a second. I've got these Imperfectly Perfects that were part of one of her ranges as well, so that can go into a little pocket. Let's put that there. I also have this ATC set, which I like. This can go into the smaller pocket. Do you see what I mean? So I can sort them out as I go. Another large one, Messy Borders by Darcy. Only just received this one, so I haven't used it, so that can go into the big one. And again, Magnolia Shadows, you saw me using this at the postcard challenge. And again, now see here, things starting to get bent because stuff is being folded over, but I can get all of these three into my bigger pocket. So what I need to do now is just move that out of the way, is I need to clear the decks of this a second. It's becoming annoying. And I'm going to pull back in this. Now what I want to do is I want to take the strips off the top. I mean, I may have changed from what I've just said, but I'm going to take the top section so I know of each of these what they're actually called. And if Darcy gets another page in the book, that's also fine with me. I'm not dedicating just one page to her. It'll depend on whichever designer I use. I will use whatever pages I need. But if I can group these together, then I know that I've got everything from one designer. So say I'm dedicating a project using only, say, Darcy's stuff, then at least I know it's all in one place. So I'm going to cut this one down, because I said this will give me a reference point as to which stencils or masks goes into each page, and that's only because I can't remember everyone's designs. So I'll cut every one of those down. I'm also going to cut this piece off here so I know that who the designer is. And let's just take that off there. Right, I'm going to pause you again for a second. Come on, I can't pick it up. And I'm going to cut down all of these pieces of paper into these sizes, just ready to go. And I'm back. Right, everything's cut down to whatever I need, and all this information comes as a cover page that comes when you purchase the stencils anyway. So I'm just utilizing what came with the packaging. So I need to know that Darcy Sanders is a designer. I need some sort of reference point for what the imagery is. And I need the names of the things, because as a content creator, I need to be able to tell you guys what these are. Now, I could stick the stuff directly onto the, oh, sorry, I can't see, can I? I could stick the stuff directly onto the pockets if I wish, but if I'm going to make this sort of beautiful stuff, I like to look at it. It's a way of utilizing my 12 by 12, my stencils and masks when I do backgrounds. Now, if I really wanted to, and I'm not starting this in mine because it'll become an obsession, I could choose to use these designs to create these. So the panels will represent the stencils. I'm not starting that. I will drive myself insane by doing that. I just know me, guys. I know I just get really obsessive about stuff like that. So from the get-go, I'm going to say no. Right, I'm using a Pritt stick because I want the designer's name by there so that I know whose work it is that I can credit for this. And I will do this even if it's one of my designs. I will credit myself, purely because why wouldn't I? So now I know who the design is by. I think I would like to put the names on this side, but these over here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put everything starting, so you can't see that, can you? Everything starting from the outside of the page in, because I want to try and keep this area as light of stuff as possible so that I'm not actually building up the bulk near the spine. So I'm going to put the damask pieces in next for no other reason than the strips. Let's just lay that in there. And as I said, for me, this is purely an experiment. What I'm going to do is I will get these done over time, because obviously transferring everything to this system is going to take a little bit of work for me to do as I go along. And once it's all done and I've tested it for a while, I will in the future give you a bit of a flip through to show you how it's working. But that's not going to be for a while, should we say, because I don't actually know how long it's going to take me to get everything transferred over. It's a simple idea, and it may work, it may not work. As I said, it was just an idea, and it's an inexpensive idea for me because I'm utilising things I find at the thrift or the charity shops here in the UK. I'm sure if you went to Michael's or something like that, or Joann's, they would have scrapbooks on offer quite regularly, because it's something the American market has quite a few of. Also, if you're someone who's got a cinch machine, a cinch machine is a machine that does this sort of binding. I've got one, but I'm not going to bring it out and show you because that'll just add to the whole video length, and we don't want to do that. You could make your own out of, even use up 12 by 12 pads that you don't like the backgrounds of, just utilize them to make storage from. And I need to get another glue stick because that one's just died. Another glue stick, and I've got glue over that page, which I didn't really want to do. I'll just wipe that off there. A damp cloth will just remove it while it's still wet. Right, so I can now come in and put the other pictures in. I'm going to start gluing over here, guys, off to one side, just so you're not seeing me do all the gluing and I'm not getting glue over the rest of the stuff I've got on the go. So normally I will recognize the name of the stencil or the mask. I cut that weird, didn't I? I'll trim that afterwards. So I don't need to have the correct stencils in the correct page, should we say. They'll be fine where they are. Also, if you have a lot of smaller stencils stored like this, you don't need the whole picture. Like, I could quite easily have cut, say, a 2-inch strip of that and a 2-inch strip of that, and it would have looked just as well. It's annoying me these are not all angled right, but that's fine. I think if I laid that one across there, I'll be quite happy with that. Be interesting to see how much I can get into a pocket or a pair of pockets and see how much space I've saved by doing it that way. And I don't mind that going across there. As I said, this is just a reference area for what I'm doing. So see, so that's on that page now, so I know that anything on this spread, this double spread, now is referenced by those, so I can take a quick look at them. Let's bring this back in and get the wording down here. And as I said before, guys, if gluing and me chatting is not your thing, fast forward to see what the result is. I just thought this would be a nice way to upcycle a scrapbook, sort out some of my storage solutions, also use up some of my prints, because I have quite a few prints, as you imagine, and I thought this is a nice way. And as I said, I wouldn't make the pockets out of copier weight paper because I'm going to be pulling stuff in and out them quite frequently, but a lightweight card would be perfect, or a heavyweight paper would be perfect for this. Let's just get the last of these on and we can see if this works or whether it's an absolute disaster. I feel it's going to work. I think the one thing I'm going to be surprised at is how many pages I'm going to have to take out so that it doesn't become too alligator mouth and it doesn't become to the point where things start getting damaged within there. If anything, I think it's going to save my stuff from being damaged purely because things will be sandwiched between pages. Therefore, they're going to have less chance of getting folded up on themselves, which is always something that I'm not happy about. It's going to take me a while to go through all my stencils and masks if this is the method I want moving forward, which I think it probably is going to be. My only thought is, yes, I'm dedicating a space to a 12 by 12, but if you could see how much room I dedicate currently, you would see what I mean. Right, I'm going to just trim this edge off. How am I going to do this? Let's do it this way around. So I'm going to just stop the camera just so I can trim this bit. Okay, and I'm back. You can see now why I don't do bigger projects in my setup, because this is the struggle I have with bigger stuff. So this is the one page all ready to go. This is the other page all ready to go. Now I'm going to load these pockets and see what it actually looks like at the end of the day. Now, if you have stencils that have paint on them and you put them next to other stencils that have paint on them, if they're not fully dry, they're going to stick to each other. So just be prepared to own that. they shouldn't be a problem if they're fully dried. Sometimes the acrylic sticks to the acrylic and you can easily just peel them apart. Just if they're wet, they're going to stick and stay. So let's just slide you in there, mister. See, and even though it's a 12 by 12 pocket, it's still going to come to the top. I can always come in and just trim a bit off the top of that, which I think I'm going to do, because I don't need it to be that much border anyway. Yeah, I think we're all always looking for the next best way to store our supplies as they grow. But you also don't want some system that's going to destroy or damage your storage. So I always like to evolve with stuff. So that's one in there. This is two. Now this one is going to stand a bit proud because I can't trim any off the top of that. That's fine. I'll be careful with it. So that's given me my 3. Now already I'm finding that if I put them in separately, they're going to catch on each other. So for me, the method is going to have to be lay all the stencils on top of each other, then slide them all in one go, and then I can move them aside a bit if I want to. Right, I'm happy with that. At a glance, I can take what's in there into view. When I'm putting stuff back in, it's easy enough for me to just do that or take them all out. And then with this side, did I have a 5 by 7 anywhere? I thought I could have sworn I pulled a 5 by 7 out. Okay, so the little pieces will fit in there. That's easy. The little ATC sizes will fit in here as well. And just as an example, I can come in, and this is Darcy's peacock swirls, which obviously I've used. Can also fit in here. I just need to actually make sure I write peacock swirls to be put in there. So, and there again, that's another thing I've just thought of. You don't need to stick these down. If you want to save bulk, you can just write it in. Now, I know my handwriting is appalling, so I'm very likely to just keep doing this method. But there you go. So that will give me storage. That hasn't added that much width. I've been conscious that I've kept this page because just in case at some point I have a special one, or like I do have some stencils that are just one-offs. Maybe I'll put a pocket there, but we'll just have one-off in there. I don't mind this looking like this. This is just the glue coming from the other side. But I think that's a better way for me to store things. They're all in one glance. I can come through, ruffle through. As I said, the only downside for me will be how quickly is it going to bulk up? Do I need to take pages out? It's not a problem. Those pages could then become decorated and turned into these pockets. I think that's, and I just need to remember that these need to be fully dried before they go in, and I need to actually take all the stencils out and put them all in at the same time, and then I can just keep on building on this. So hopefully that's going to work, guys. I don't know, what have I saved? So by putting all of those on a double page spread, I have saved this amount of bulk in something else. I think that's a win-win. I can live with that. And as I said, I've got this one for one-offs, but what I might do is, there's another Darcy one there. I didn't realise Darcy had 2 in here. Darcy, stop designing good stencils. I need to buy them all. There you go. That goes in there. There you go. I think that's okay. Well, I think, guys, that's kind of it from me. I think it's an idea. You get the concept. I don't know whether it's going to be fully functional, whether it's going to work or not. That's why I'm experimenting with it. Okay? I will give you a follow-up video in a few weeks' time, just so I say, listen, this is working, it isn't working. These are the problems, these are not the problems. The only thing I say is, if you take this idea on, be aware you need to do some things to make sure you don't damage your products, as I've explained. So, hope you enjoyed that, guys. I'm Ceri the Crafter. That's Ceri the Crafter. Until next time, goodbye now.